What does the tricolours mean to you?
I bleed red, white and blue. Ever since I come as a 16-year-old, I was just a young, shy kid, become a man here at the club.
Minichiello is hammering away! Minichiello!
I remember Rico picked up and read it and it just went bang. You're the Italian mountain cat.
The acrobat! There's this great mythology in rugby league about the House of Grouse in Bondi.
Mad Mondays, everyone was invited. All the supporters, they would just come.
Goes after Otto! Come down on his back. What a take.
Oh, gutsy stuff.
He said, look, the disc above has done the same thing. You got to think about your life here.
Here's the X factor.
And I saw a half gap on the inside and I called for the ball and he just went boom, kick.
Here's Johns putting a kick in.
It was freakish.
Minichiello's chasing the ball. Getting there, running that try. Well, Anthony Minichiello, as we sit here in the histories of the Roosters, how does it make you feel looking around?
You know, when they were building it, they asked all the legends to, you know, can we get some of your rings and jerseys and whatnot, and it'll be on loan, and you sign full documents and say, yeah, my stuff's just behind me over here, and it's probably in a better spot now. It's safer than when I had it just tucked away in storage, so it's a cool space, yeah.
You won 2 comps for the Roosters. You one of only 4 players to play 300 games for the club. What does the tricolours mean to you if you could sum it up?
I bleed red, white and blue. You know, ever since I come as a 16-year-old, I was just a young, shy kid and grown up and become a man here at the club and developed leadership qualities all here in these 4 walls of the Roosters.
There's a big gap opening up. They're through the gap. Minichiello, he's put the head back. He's away. Gasnier won't make it. Minichiello, he scores. You signed here as a 16-year-old. You're almost 45. You are 45,
yep.
So that's almost 30 years.
Yeah.
Could you have envisaged a kind of relationship that you had with this club when you signed that deal, right?
Oh, not at all, no. I was in year 10. I was just a young kid playing footy out southwest of Sydney, and yeah, the great Arthur Beetson saw something in me and gave me a 2-year contract. I remember the 2-year contract like it was yesterday.
Brothers competing against one another. The Minichiello clan, the Italian heritage. What's your family background? How did they end up in Australia?
My dad's family, Naples region. Once my dad met my mum, he moved to Sydney, and that's where we grew up, Casula, Prestons, on acreage. Such a great childhood to grow up on acres and, you know, be outdoors, and both of my parents didn't get the opportunity to play sport. So, you know, when we were growing up, my younger brother, younger sister, and we said, oh, we want to play this sport, we want to play that sport. They gave us every opportunity, said, yep, and they enrolled us in whatever we wanted to do. You talk about those other sports, you're a gymnast. Yeah, well, my brother started league when he was like 5, and they asked me if I wanted to play rugby league. I didn't want to play league at the time. You know, the gymnastics gave me the core stability, sort of power base of tumbling and trampolining.
Plenty of chases for the Roosters, including Minichiello. Well, can't he get up?
Being aware of yourself in space.
Fitzgibbon, who puts in a kick that looked like it was too deep, but it's going to be a try! Minichiello, the acrobat, the Houdini! There was a nickname, the Italian mountain cat, right?
That's
like
it.
Min Cat, right?
Yeah.
That came from that kind of ability,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
Across to Minichiello's wing, and Minichiello. That is magnificent from Anthony Minichiello.
It was a little article in Monday paper where fans could write in, and someone said the way Anthony Minichiello plays, he always finds his front. He reminds me of an Italian mountain cat. And I remember Rico picked up and read it, and it just went bang. You're the Italian mountain cat.
Support on the inside. That is Minichiello! Leaping his way to the corner.
That nickname stuck with me, and still to this day, yeah. The other one was the Count.
Minichiello, there's the record. The Count. Mini.
I made the City Origin team, and Brett Kenny was the coach, and yeah, he gave me that nickname, and yeah, the fans run with that nickname all the time, and yeah, it's quite funny.
Attacking that blind side, and they are away with Minichiello for City. Stands up, Mooney. That's too easy for City.
Your journey to the Roosters, like how did you first come on their radar?
I was a Western Suburbs junior and grew up southwest of Sydney. Obviously, I was playing for East Valley United out of the Ashcroft area. My mum used to film every game, and a scout sort of come up and said, oh, do you have any videos of, I'm sort of looking at number 3 and number 12. And she goes, oh, well, number 3 is my son, and number 12, yeah, no dramas, I've got plenty of videos. So she gave a couple of tapes to the scout, and the scout took them back to Artie Beetson. I remember getting a phone call and getting invited to a training camp, and that was at Narrabeen. I got offered a 2-year contract at the Roosters for the 97-98 season.
So in 2000, you just decided, I'm going to be full-time.
In 1999, I just said, you know what, I'm going to go full-time into training. By around 6 or 7, I got the opportunity to play first grade against the Bulldogs, and I think I got on in the last 10 minutes, and the game was over in a heartbeat. And then the week after, Graham Murray came to me and said, you're going to start right wing, and that was against Manly at Allianz here. I remember Freddie just come up and goes, mate, you're ready, you know, just do your job.
Do you remember your first try?
That was the week after, I think, over in New Zealand.
That ball's line ball out wide to Minichiello. He puts it on the chalk.
So it's a pretty whirlwind year, right? Like, you've debuted in round 4.
Yeah.
That year you're playing in a grand final in front of 94,000 people.
And here he is with his team for the grand final, Bradley Fittler.
It was just an amazing experience, and we lost, I think, 14-8. It was a close game, but, you know, the Broncos were red hot that year.
Broncos are the premiers of the year 2000.
What was it like just being a kid from the West, suddenly then plucked into the East?
Yeah.
And just kind of from obscurity into being a first-grade footballer. Like, I imagine it was a massive culture shock off the field as well.
But we had great boys in the team that showed us some good times and had to train hard too. Like Rico, I lived with Rico, and you know he's the man of the eastern suburbs back then, so he showed me the ropes. But all of the guys, Freddie and Rico, all the leaders, play hard off the field. But when it come down to training, they were some of the fittest guys in the game.
Minichiello into open space, fullback to beat on the halfway line, through Dyer, in support Ricketson. Will he have the pace? Yes, he will. And the Roosters have hit back with a try to Luke Ricketson that put it down to a great run by Minichiello.
Speaking of having a good time, there's this great mythology in rugby league about the House of Grouse in Bondi.
This is 2004, so we're looking around Bondi and we found this big 5-bedroom house in North Bondi. Could only last a year because, you know, every weekend it was just on.
Do you have a favourite, maybe PG-13 story of the House of Grouse?
Mad Mondays, we would have the 6 a.m. party at the house. So we went to both of our neighbours and we said, look, we're happy to put you up at the Swiss Grand Hotel for 2 nights. And they were happy with that. And, you know, the party rolled in at 6 a.m. We had a full DJ, and that went to 12 at lunchtime. And then lunchtime we went down back to the Charing Cross, and that was our Mad Monday at the Charing Cross. And back then, the Mad Mondays, everyone was invited. All the supporters, they would just come.
Fittler puts the kick in. He's looking for Minichiello. And that big jump of his. There it is. Minichiello's in.
That 2002 team, as you said, you partied hard as young guys, but you were super fit and super dialed in. Like, what was the standard like at training and in games? Coming off a loss in 2000 and then only getting knocked out in the semi-final, game 1 of the semi-final, 2001.
Johns has got one to beat. Johns is going to make it. Andrew Johns, the magnificent. Andrew Johns is a freak.
It was unacceptable, so they made a change and Ricky Stewart come in.
But while the Roosters seem to be all businesslike, they do admit to some nerves, including Ricky Stewart, who faces his first game as an NRL first-grade coach.
And he just said, mate, Roosters, everyone thinks you're soft underbelly, the pretty boys and the latte set and all that. Mate, we're going to be the fittest team in the NRL. Our season in 2002 was a little bit up and down, up and down.
Sydney Roosters officials met with players late this afternoon. It was their second meeting in just 24 hours. The club, however, denies it's in crisis.
No, it's no crisis. It's just an obstacle in front of us, and it's only as big as you want to make it.
And then we just sort of clicked in the gear late in the year, and we, went 9 straight to win the comp.
So Fittler to the 10. Hodges, there is open pasture. Minichiello is in.
The grand final and the I think it was a Richard Villasanti hit on Freddie.
Oh, Fittler. Oh, he's been taken a couple of times.
How did that change things, like on the field? What's the talk when that happened?
Yeah, there was a couple of turning points in that game. That one was definitely one where Richard had the high shot on Freddie and the blood streaming down his face, and Adrian Morley going, "You're going to get it." And he did.
Oh, Villasanti! Really shook up by Morley.
And then Freddie kicked that 40-20, and then from that we just rolled on and scored 3 or 4 tries to beat him quite convincingly.
Fletcher puts the arm up and he goes over. Fletcher scores.
We had that belief now that, you know, we're the best in the comp.
That's when you switched to fullback.
So what happened was,
yeah.
So what happened was we in pre-season, we had Justin Hodges in the team who played fullback at the Broncos, but he was world-class centre, so dominant.
Hodges will score. Justin Hodges.
Ricky actually come to me and said, look, what do you think about you playing fullback? And I was like, yeah, give me a shot. He goes, oh, look, I'm thinking about you or Justin Hodges. I'm not sure yet. And
But you hadn't played fullback, right?
I'd never played
You
fullback.
weren't a fullback coming through?
No, I played centre. I was a right centre, and obviously made first grade on the wing. But I was always fit, and I always wanted the ball in my hands. I wanted to do 18, 20 carries a game, so I always went looking for it.
Off the boot of Ryan Cross, play on, picked up by Anthony Minichiello. Now we're off to the track meet. Wesser can't stop him, and Minichiello gets his second.
And I said to him, oh, mate, give me first opportunity. I'd love to have the first shot at it. That really, I think, elevated my career to the next level.
Here's Fittler. Fittler's inside the 20. Underbeat. Turns it back on the inside. They're in again.
That season, I played for Australia the first time. I played Origin for the first time. And
Then Johns dummies once and then goes out wide. Minichiello is in.
so I still thank Ricky to this day that just the vision from him to switch me from wing to fullback and have that insight that, you know, this could elevate his career in some ways.
Here's Johns. Menacingly. Minichiello's got number 2.
So you mentioned it before, but 03 and 04 were really good years for the Roosters. You were a gun team and you were you're in both grand finals. Why didn't it go your way on either occasion? So obviously Penrith first from your memory.
There's a couple of turning points in that game where we should have executed probably a little bit better and probably rolled on to win, but, you know, that's footy.
Sattler is chasing. Sattler is playing. The tackle of the day. What a tackle by Scott Sattler.
And then we roll on to 2004 and we're still at the top of our game early season, but I sort of felt like in the end of 2004 season we'll start tapering, where we just limped into the grand final against the Cowboys.
Here's the last roll of the dice. He's kicked for the win of Walker. He's come down with the ball.
Even in the Dogs game, we were obviously up 13-6 at half-time.
Minichiello is hammering away. Minichiello, he will score under the black dot.
We didn't score a point in the second half, and that was probably when we sat back down and looked at it or talked about it straight away. That was a disappointing thing.
Minichiello goes across, puts a shadow across it. Now he comes off his own line, and they try and drag him back. They get him back.
That's what happens on certain days, you know. You don't execute some of your plays slightly enough, and that's our fine line, especially grand final day where both teams are vying for something special.
Yeah, I was going to say, because it shows that in your career, like you played in 6 grand finals, but you only won 2 of them.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Just that even that last hurdle, it's the hardest one to climb, right?
Well, it's, you know, it's definitely hard to make a grand final. There's no doubt about it. But it's, you know, it's even harder to win one.
Gets the ball away to Minichiello. Minichiello on Hunt. Minichiello runs around him. Minichiello, he scored.
2005 was a great year for you on an individual front. You won just about everything in terms of individual awards. What do you remember from that year and the way you were playing?
I just felt pretty dominant as a player. Speed, power, you know, the ability to break tackles, all that type of stuff. I was just playing with confidence, you know, winning the Wally Lewis medal.
Gets it away, surely. Yes, it's a try.
Going on tour and getting the Harry Sutherland and winning the Golden Boot, it was a massive year individually for me. But, you know, because we were burning the candle at both ends through that period, there were signs within my body saying, you know, you need to have a rest or you need to do something different because something's about that break.
Goes after Erdo. Minichiello went right up above Fittler and has come down on his back. What a take.
Oh, gutsy stuff.
And I remember that my first back spasm, I couldn't move for a day and I got over it and went out and trained, didn't think anything of it. And then it happened again and it lasted, you know, 3 days. And then I had an MRI and they were like, oh, you got 2 bulging discs in your lower back, you got to be careful. And I was whatever. It's, you know, because, you know, I was told by a dietitian that you got great genes and genetics from your parents. You can basically eat what you want, drink what you want. But I did have signs from my body telling me you got to change things. And I was on tour. Artie Beaton's handing me the Golden Boot Award. But I'm looking at my face and how puffy it was, and my eyes are almost closed over, my hands are puffy. Like the inflammation and the oxidative stress that was bubbling away beneath my body was out of control. And I was just masking it with anti-inflammatories and painkillers and sleeping tablets and, you know, just going out and doing my thing. And I remember getting selected in the Anzac Day test, and Tony Ayew was the physio, and he said, bend down, touch your toes. I couldn't even bend down and touch my knees before that pain would dig in. I had a ruptured disc in my L5S1, which is the lowest disc in your back, and that was permanently hitting my sciatic nerve, and that's why I had numbness in my toe and, you know, pins and needles everywhere, and so that was my first back operation.
Minichiello, one of many, sidelined for the Roosters.
What I was doing, I was having 2 anti-inflammatories in the morning, 2 at night, just daily.
Giving yourself stomach ulcers, weren't you?
I actually developed a stomach ulcer by 2008, yeah. After round 10, I got selected back in Origin, 2007, game 1.
Thurston, the little kick, and Minichiello has gone crashing off into one of the cameras.
But he's treated it very coolly, as you would expect.
We're in camp for game 2, and it's 3 days out before the game, and we're at Coogee. I just literally roll out of bed and put my socks on. I hear this click in my lower back, huge spasm, sent back up to the specialist, and he said, look, the disc above has done the same thing. Do you want to come back and play a contact sport like rugby league? And I was like, yeah, I'm 27, of course.
Was that when you saw your discs were black?
This is the following year. So, so the following year, I played 5 games and I pinch a nerve in my neck on bench press. Don't think anything of it. Go out and play the game. Towards the end of the game, I'm feeling like I've got no strength in my wrist or forearm.
Put down by Minichiello.
Knock on against the #1 for the Roosters. How many times would you see that from him?
Again, C5, C6 vertebra, huge disc bulge, 1 millimetre away from my spinal cord. And this is when the doctor looked at all my spine. He said, look, in someone that has a healthy spine, there should be white. That's your cushioning system for running, grappling, sprinting. Yours are all black. That means they're dehydrated. This is why they start to rupture and bulge. And like his advice was, I don't think you should play a contact sport.
They must have been panicking. Like, were they?
Oh, yeah.
That this was like a bad knock away from, you know, potentially very serious
100%. Like, that's
injury.
what Tony Ayew said. You got to think about your life here. I'd met my wife prior to this, and she was like, but you got to find out the reasons why. And that's when I found a good mate of mine, Aaron McKenzie, and he had a small training studio up in Bondi Junction, and he ties in a lot of nutrition and recovery modalities into his training program, all functional movement training. And he said, you can repair your body if you're willing to make some sacrifices. You know, nutrition's a long burn. In mid-2008, that's when I started to revamp everything. And my body just started repairing itself. So I felt really good going into the 2009 season.
And Anthony Minichiello, what a player he is, and coming back from a very serious back injury.
And it was round 2 down in Canberra, and I did all my ligaments in my ankle.
He lost the ball, Minichiello. The goal line was right there. He's hurt himself bad here too, Minichiello. He's in a lot of pain.
I sort of stepped over and went, oh, nothing. I think I'm all right. I might hobble to the wing and play on. I think Canberra dropped the ball out in the next set and they passed out to me, and I ended up scoring a try.
Now they may score. Have you ever seen a player limp and stumble for a try in the corner? He looked 90 years of age.
Once I took a breath, my leg you could just see it just go boom, like a balloon.
And surely that's the last bit of action Anthony Minichiello will see this afternoon.
They had to give me a shot of morphine in the leg and off the hospital.
The diagnosis was worse than expected for Anthony Minichiello. Surgery and 3 months on the sidelines.
I remember the club said, look, we're going to give you a 1-year deal.
The coach adamant the club never considered letting Mini go, but the message is blunt: perform or perish.
Match payments for next year, you got to play your games to earn your money. And I said, yep, I'll take it.
X-factor. How will he come through?
I just want to talk quickly about 05 just a bit more with the Origin series, right? It was such a big series, and everyone talks about that Joey game 2 where he came back, and it was no fluke, that performance.
Nah.
Like, you roomed with him. Give me an insight into how he kind of dictated that game.
So game 1 was up in Queensland, and it was an epic game, right? Well, I think we were down 18-0 at half-time, Ricky Stewart coach, and then we come back to 18-all.
Inside ball, Hindmarsh, up the middle comes Minichiello. Minichiello's into space. He's got support. The Blues are on their way. It's the comeback. Gasnier scores.
And then Brett Kamali threw the intercept to Matty Bowen.
It's gone on to Kamali. Intercept for Bowen. That's the end of it. Bowen has his hand in the air. Matt Bowen scores.
Joe has just come back from an ACL injury, like 1 or 2 games back. And Sticky made the tough call to take Kamali out and put Joey in. And I remember the training session, it was just like clockwork. He just ran the show. And it was like a calming presence that come over the group. Everyone was like, Joey's here. Like, he's just calling shots, running the show like normal. And then I was lucky enough to room with him, and we developed a great bond and friendship. We still have it to this day. I would make his cup of tea after training session, and we'll talk. He'll talk tactics. Because Joey was a big thinker. I'm going to work this middle player over 4 tackles. I want you inside or outside me, and and just the gap would appear. But that kick, like he was saying that he wanted to do it. He wanted to kick corner, corner, corner. And then I want to do a kick back and try and hit the post. I want you on the hammer. I was like, easy.
They're just into Queensland's territory now.
And I remember in the game, I saw a half gap on the inside and I called for the ball and he just went, boom, kick.
Here's John putting a kick in. Minichiello's chasing. The ball is hitting the outside of the try. It's a try for the Blues. Scored by Minichiello.
Hit the post, like he said, and I just swooped in to score the try. I was freakish.
The Dragons win the grand final, their first since 1979.
You lose 2010, but 2013 rolls around. Change at the club, Trent Robinson comes in.
He was our assistant coach in 2010 to Brian Smith. He was our defensive coach. And then what happened was, Brian was told there's no more contract.
Brian Smith's departure from the Roosters came swiftly and suddenly and was greeted by a wall of silence from the players.
I can't comment, man, sorry. You're not that you've been given directions from the club not to talk? Yeah. Can you tell us why they don't want a senior player like yourself commenting on the sacking of Brian Smith? Sorry, boss.
And they suddenly announced Trent Robinson as head coach.
There were plenty of names bandied around when Brian Smith was shown the door. Trent Robinson wasn't among them, but there's no shortage of confidence in the man set to take over the reins.
And I remember I got a phone call from Robbo, wanting to get a feel of the players and what's going on and what do we need, what do you think we need as a team and training-wise, and a lot of questions, and we spoke for like an hour on the phone. And then he asked me, what about leadership and rah-rah, and I said, yeah, I'm keen for it. Day 1 or 2 after the Christmas break, he called me into the office and said, I want you to be the captain. To get that honour granted to you was awesome.
Anthony Minichiello has long been revered by the Sydney Roosters family, so there was no man more deserving of being handed the reins at Bondi Junction.
Each of the players that I talked to, they all wanted Mini as their captain.
To then go on and win the premiership, to lift the trophy as the captain. And it'd been a long time since you won a grand final, right? Like You'd been there so close so many times.
It was a phenomenal year.
To Fisiahi, now the offload, and this will be a Roosters try. Anthony Minichiello, what a wonderful piece of teamwork by the Roosters.
Robbo comes in and firstly, he challenged us about being full-time professionals. Then he also challenged us on being a second-half team. So right from day 1 of pre-season, we had in our head, that last 20 minutes, we look at each other, last 20, here we go. And then we found ourselves in the grand final against Manly.
And now the Roosters led out by their veteran captain and fullback, Anthony Minichiello. Here comes the count.
And then we find ourselves down by 10 points with 20 to go.
4 and back to Brett Stewart. It's in for Matai. Matai running right around and scores.
All I do is just settle the boys down and just say, look, what have we trained for? Right from day 1 of pre-season, we wanted to be a second-half team. There's 20 minutes to go. Just let's everyone do your job and do it well.
And here they go with a lovely ball away. Maloney streaks down the ground, runs to Minichiello. Minichiello lost the ball to Kenny Dow. He'll score, Kenny Dow. Then back at 18-18.
And we rolled on with 3 tries to win the game. Without doubt, that was the best year of my life.
The Roosters are celebrating. Minichiello wins his second from 6.
Because then, my daughter was born in December that year as well, and it's a great memory that year, that's for sure.
Why was it time to give it away in 2014?
Today, I would like to announce that I'll be retiring at the end of this season. It's a decision that I thought long and hard about.
I went back, I think, 2nd week of January, and normally I just roll back in the pre-season and just get straight into it. But I felt like I wanted to be home a bit more because I wanted to spend time with my family and the newborn, and I just sort of was thinking, is it just because I've just had a baby, or is this the feeling? Is this the feeling of this is going to be my last?
Here's a ball going away, and Minichiello scores a captain's try. What a pass for the bouncing Mr. Minichiello.
Played half the season, then I sat down with Robbo and I said, mate, this is going to be my last.
Mitchell Pearson's through. He's over the 30, got to the 20, gave it to Minichiello and he scores.
And there's a mountain cat, Anthony Minichiello. He's been doing it for 15 years.
We ended up finishing minor premiers again that year. We had a mishap in the first semi. We lost to Penrith.
A kick from Selwyn, a kick from Selwyn. It's a goal.
That put us on the side of South Sydney, who were red hot that year.
Talk me through the emotions on that night, because it was, I think, if I'm wrong, game 302 for you.
What a moment this is for Anthony Minichiello, about to play game number 302 and become the all-time leader for games played for the Roosters.
I equalled Rico's record the game before, 301.
Yes, yeah.
And so now I'm surpassing Rico in the prelim to try and make it against South Sydney to try and make a grand final.
Minichiello! Minichiello grabs it!
My last touch of the football ever, I actually scored a try.
Minichiello is there. He'll run towards the corner in the record-breaking game. A lovely moment for Anthony Minichiello.
And I think we lost 30-20 or something like that. And, you know, South made a guard of honour and all the boys did. Yeah, I just remember just walking through it and looking up at the crowd and just going, this is it.
People, I guess, the transition into retirement is always a bit of a difficult one, but you were pretty set on what you wanted to do and hit the ground running.
Well, I already had Minifit set up for a number of years, actually, a couple of years. You know, the Roosters offered me a full-time position. I did lots of things, lots of different things. I was the ambassador of the NRL, ambassador of the stadium here. So I just took on everything. I did some stuff at Fox and some commentary. I just did lots of different things to really see if I gravitated towards one. But my goal was always to transition into my own business. I always felt that I wanted to build something of my own, have flexibility to do what I want on the weekends.
What does the next 5 to 10 years look like for Anthony Minichiello, do you think?
I just want to keep growing my business. I love working in it. I love working on it. You know, my daughter's in year 6, so last year at junior school, so, you know, supporting her and, yeah, just living a nice, happy life.
Can't complain about that.
Yeah, that's it.
Mini, thank you so much for your time and for sharing so much of your journey. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you, mate.